Thank you guys for joining me once again on McIntyre's Malts for my first time tasting and review of the Macallan 15 Double Cask. If you are new to the channel, thank you for joining me. My name is Wade and I am in love with all things single malt whiskey. So today I wanted to share this experience with you guys as I pour my very first dram of the Macallan 15 and give you my recommendation on if it's one that I think should be on your radar when considering your next whiskey purchase. The Macallan is a distillery that is very polarizing. They very much take their product and ultra premiumize it and position it as the be all and end all, the most luxurious whiskey there is. This one in my market, it is very expensive for what it is, probably the most expensive 15-year-old Scotch whiskey. The pricing I've seen on this ranges from about 260 to, you know, a little bit beyond 300, even in that sort of 310 range. Now you definitely can't deny it's an absolutely stunning bottle. The way that the bottle is designed and positioned and how it feels in your hand. The Macallan 15 and quite a few Macallan expressions these days are matured in sherry seasoned casks. These are casks that have sherry put in them for a few months at a time to season them and give them that flavor, but it's very different to using a cask that has matured sherry for a very long time. So I think it's important to state that. This expression here is 43% ABV, meaning it is chill filtered, but for some reason Macallan do call out that it is natural color on this whiskey. Good that it's natural color, but I would prefer to have a non-chill filtered whiskey and coloring added than the other way around. This expression being double cask is sherry seasoned American oak married with sherry seasoned European oak. I have heard some people talk that it's American oak is the bourbon casks, but my understanding is that it's two different wood cask types that are both sherry seasoned, so it's not a vatting of bourbon and sherry. So I've had this Macallan 15 sitting in my Stolzel glass now for about 15 minutes. Poured it at the beginning before we started. Let's begin with the nose. Actually, a little bit more bright than I expected. It's definitely sherried influence, but not as rich and decadent and heavy as I expected. If you think about a Glendronach 15 or a Glenallachie 15 is far more of a sherry bomb. This has a lot more honeyed notes at the forefront. A touch of spiciness, like almost like the wood spice. It's more of a drier sherry note too. It's a nice nose. It's got a good balance of that honeyed sweetness combined with a little bit of the fresh oak notes, and then you're getting a lighter sherry touch in there. Perhaps that's because of the seasoned casks, not so much casks that have really been soaking and absorbing and maturing sherry for a long time. Okay, now let's try for the very first time the Macallan 15 double cask on my palate. Cheers. Starts off very gentle, a little bit thin given that it's 43% ABV. Comes through with a bit more spiciness, comes through and builds up in the back end. It's very lovely. The dry wood notes, old leather, toffee sweetness at the beginning. It's got good character actually. It's definitely a good whiskey. There's no denying that. It's a really nice put together, a good example of like a sturdy, just dependable whiskey, right? Let's try now again on the nose one more time to see if any other aromas have unfolded and developed since sitting in my glass. Quintessential sherried whiskey, what you're looking for, but calmed down to a point where it's just not as amazing as it could be. But having said that, it's not a bad whiskey. Getting slight coconut notes now. There's a good balance of sweet, the nuttiness, dryness. There's elements of a rich, more of a elegant, older, matured whiskey that would kind of dry oak scent coming through. Final sip and finish on my palate, and then I'll give you my recommendation as to what I think of the Macallan 15 double cask. Cheers. Rich, nutty, sherried. It starts sweet again. The build now, the spice coming off the mid palate, that woodiness, the leather, coming into dryness now. Medium finish. It's really good. I won't deny that. It's a very good whiskey. It's nicely done. I definitely think it is a good step up from the 12. Really nothing wrong with this whiskey. The only thing that if you wanted to fault it or nitpick is you could ask for a higher ABV, but it plays very well where it lives currently at 43%. It still offers quite a lot. It's a good whiskey. I enjoy drinking it. The flavors suit my palate and appeal to me, and it's very much in the wheelhouse of something that I could quite comfortably sit and enjoy many a dram of. The challenge here, it's always a question of the value proposition. With anything we purchase, especially with whiskey, and especially in this country with such a high price point on spirits. This whiskey is just as nice as a GlenDronach 15, but why would I choose the Macallan 15 at 43% ABV for $260 plus, or quite possibly $300, when I can get a GlenDronach 15 46% ABV for literally half the price at $150 Australian? I don't buy whiskey to convince myself of my status or how well off I am. Again, I'm buying to enjoy that flavor and chase and capture that moment, that experience with the whiskey. So whilst I do recommend this whiskey in terms of flavor and what it delivers as a drinker, it's very hard to recommend it based upon the price point of this whiskey. There is nothing that makes me sit here and say honestly to you that this is worth double what a GlenDronach 15 is worth. It's not. It's not twice as good. I honestly believe the only reason that people would purchase Macallan, and this is going to ruffle feathers, is it's a status symbol. It's trying to say something about yourself. I was very hesitant to buy this purely because I didn't want to spend that much money on it, but I wanted to do the review and show you guys my thoughts and opinions on it. It's a tough one, guys. Again, yeah, I recommend it based upon the flavor. It's lovely. It's a great whiskey. It's enjoyable, but it's not worth $300. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below the video. Thank you for joining me today on my first time tasting the Macallan 15 double cask, and I will catch you very soon on the next McIntyre's Malts.